जिंदगी का सफर है ये
So the
तय
first stop that we'll be taking on our train ride through ancient India kind of reminds me of what India is like in the early part of the dawn. So everything's foggy and smoky outside. It's all cold and sleepy. It's really hard to see what's actually going on out there in the mist. And maybe also it's because we're not really in full command of our wits yet either, so early in the morning. Now, we'll be starting with the earliest known civilization in India, what's now called the Indus Valley Civilization, or the IVC. It's hard to pinpoint the start of the IVC, but most archaeologists now suggest that there's been kind of a continuous civilization in that area, beginning in about 6,000 or 7,000 BC. This was the dawn of agriculture and animal husbandry in India, or rather in what's today Pakistan. This wasn't yet an urban civilization. It was mostly rural settlements based on subsistence farming. The big cities and manufacture and trade, which are kind of the striking features of the IVC, wouldn't grow until much later in what's been called the mature phase of the IVC. This lasted for 600 years, from about 2500 till 1900 BC. This is a time period that we'll mainly be concerned in appreciating in this unit, and the dates make this IVC contemporaneous to three other major civilizations: Mesopotamia, Egypt, and China. Now, what's interesting is that the IVC seems to have had strong trading contacts with at least two of those, if not all three. After this time, from about 1900 BC onwards until the onset of the Iron Age in 1000 BCE, the IVC became again mostly non-urban, lost much of the sophistication and technology that marked the mature phase. The reasons why this kind of degradation happened, why ultimately the IVC got buried under dust and forgotten to human history, is a big mystery. It may be the biggest mystery of all in Indian history. We could spend an entire lifetime studying the fascinating details about the IVC culture. Believe me, I'd love to spend the whole course on it. But there's a lot of other interesting things to get to as well in our train ride. So what we're going to try to do is peer into just a handful of things that archaeologists and ancient historians had to say about the IVC, and we can get our own opinions about what might have been going on. Out of all of the materials we're going to be looking at in the course, I'd say the IVC stuff, the Indus Valley stuff, is the most wide open. It's an area where you can make your guesses about what these artifacts and ruins might be all about, and you might be just as right as the most sophisticated archaeologist. In fact, if you have a spare moment, get your computers out and go have a look at harappa.com. This is where I'm getting all of the nice little images that you're going to see here, and it's a place where you'll find a number of blog posts under the heading Mysteries. You can spend hours speculating on how dice might have been used in Harappa, what the raised circular platforms were all about, if the granary was really a granary, etc., etc. It's kind of fun, I'm not going to lie. So here are the topics that we're going to be covering in the different video clips for this unit. In the first segment, we'll look at how early British explorers and then formal archaeologists, professionals, discovered the Indus Valley civilization and how they started digging there. In the second and third segments, we'll ask the question, what can we say for sure about the Indus? What's true? What do we know was true? We'll talk about geography, urban planning, all the kind of cool technologies that those ancient cities had, and what kind of surprising artifacts have been found there. In the fourth segment, we'll go through the kinds of educated guesses that researchers have been making that's based on the hard evidence of segments 2 and 3. Things like agricultural patterns, economy, social organization, how the IVC grew and prospered, but then also declined. Finally, we'll look at some fascinating things that we don't know about the IVC. These are the big mysteries, so to speak, that surround this ancient world. We'll look at the IVC script, that's still undeciphered, and talk about the language that this script might be encoding. We'll also talk about religion and whether maybe, just maybe, yoga, Shiva, maybe even Jainism go all the way back to the Indus. And finally, in the last segment of the unit, we'll be talking about the biggest sources of debate about the IVC. This is a topic that gets people really riled up and shouting at each other, whether this was an Aryan or Vedic culture, or if it was Dravidian culture, or maybe it was something else altogether. So stay tuned, and let's go get digging in the dirt.